beneath the crushing weight of the ocean, where sunlight surrenders to eternal dark, a creature stretches longer than a school bus, a ghost in the water, a shadow with arms. This is the giant squid, a name passed down through centuries of sailor tales, of krakens dragging ships into the deep, of monsters glimpsed and feared. It exists, it's real, and at up to 45 feet long, it is everything we dreamed. And yet, not the most terrifying thing down there, because hidden even deeper, beneath colder currents and thicker silence, evolution built something stranger, something heavier, a being that doesn't just echo our myths, it rewrites them. Meet the colossal squid. Shorter than its cousin, yes, but double the weight, denser, stronger, a floating fortress of flesh and hooks. If the giant squid is a sword, the colossal is a warhammer. But here's the twist. These two giants didn't grow from the same branch of life's tree. They're not siblings, not even distant cousins. Their genetic lines split so far back that they don't even belong to the same family. Their only shared classification, an order. And from that distant root, each evolved into a monster alone, separate, without ever meeting. No one told them there was another. They've lived in different oceans, on different ends of the planet, chasing different prey, driven by different forces, and yet they look like mirrors of one another. Why? Why would nature, with all its chaotic creativity, sculpt the same nightmare twice? What is it about the deep sea that demands giants, that demands monsters? And if it happened twice already, could it happen again? In the endless dark of the deep sea, the giant squid reigns in long silence. But not alone, because in another corner of the ocean, beneath Antarctic ice and pressure thick enough to crush steel, something just as formidable was taking shape. The colossal squid. It's easy to assume these two behemoths are siblings. Maybe one's just bulkier, the other longer. But under the skin, they share almost nothing. Not the same species, not the same genus, not even the same family. Their evolutionary paths split long ago, and yet, here they are. Two massive anomalies floating through alien worlds. The truth is, these two giants are part of the same order, Oegopsida, but from completely different families that evolved to grow monstrously large in isolation. It's not a case of one copying the other. It's as if nature, given different ingredients in different oceans, somehow cooked up two versions of the same impossible recipe. And here's the strangest part. They've never met. Their worlds don't overlap. The giant squid patrols the temperate mid-depths of the world's oceans. The colossal squid hides in the frigid abyss near Antarctica, swimming deeper and darker. They are strangers sculpted by the same unseen hand. Imagine if humans had never crossed continents, yet still invented the wheel, the bow, the spear. That's what these squids did, only with muscle and mass. Evolution didn't whisper their designs across oceans. It screamed them into being. But why? Why would two squids, evolving on opposite ends of the planet, grow to become apex giants without ever encountering one another? Is there something deeper, a rule etched into the fabric of the ocean itself that size is the only answer when light runs out and pressure mounts? To understand how these monsters came to be, we have to go back not just a few centuries, but tens of millions of years. Somewhere between 60 to 100 million years ago, while dinosaurs still ruled the land, an ancient ancestor swam through the prehistoric seas. A primitive oogopsid squid, small, fast, unremarkable. But from this single root, two radically different branches would eventually spiral outward, one leading to the glassy-eyed colossals, the other to the long-limbed giants. They didn't start out big. Evolution rarely throws giants into the water overnight. No, this was slow, a creeping pressure, a whisper that grew louder over millennia. One branch, the Architeuthidea, would evolve speed, agility, and reach birthing the sleek giant squid. The other, the Cranchiidae, would build bulk, armor, and patience, shaping the colossal. But what if we told you that neither of them inherited their size? That somewhere along the line, both branches completely separate decided to evolve gigantism on their own, independently. A bizarre mirror act known as convergent evolution. It's the biological equivalent of two artists, thousands of miles apart, painting the same surreal creature from memory, having never seen it. and never speaking to one another. These squids didn't mimic a shared ancestor. They didn't receive a blueprint from some common leviathan. Instead, they arrived at the same solution for the same problem surviving in the deep. That's the magic and the madness of convergent evolution. It doesn't care about family, it cares about function. And sometimes, the same problem demands the same monster. But if this story began millions of years ago, why don't we know more? Why does so much of their past remain buried in silence? The answer lies not in what squids are, but in what they're not. Bones, shells, fossils, the things that history clings to. Squids are soft, almost entirely made of muscle, cartilage, and tissue that dissolves in weeks once they die. They're ghosts, biologically speaking, born to vanish. Unlike dinosaurs or sharks, they don't leave skeletons in stone. The ocean reclaims them, wipes the slate clean, as if they were never there, which is why our understanding of ancient squids is like chasing shadows through fog. But evolution left one clue behind. One part of the squid doesn't melt away. The beak, made of chitin, the same hard material in insect shells it survives where flesh fails. Sharp, durable, and jet black. These curved weapons don't just pierce prey, they pierce time. Some have been buried in deep-sea sediment for millions of years, outlasting the creatures that wielded them. From these relics, scientists can measure size, guess diet, even speculate lineage. It's not much a beak, floating in mud, but it's enough to whisper of giants past. In a way, it's poetic, that in the deepest, softest corners of the earth, the only thing evolution made permanent was the mouth. Eventually, that silent lineage split. Two evolutionary roads, twisting into the abyss. One led to the Architeuthidæ, the family of the giant squid. The other veered into the Cranchiidae, the home of the colossal. At first, there was no sign of what they would become. They were just squids, strange, yes, but not monstrous. But something in their separate worlds began to change. The oceans got colder, deeper, more vast. Prey grew scarce, predators more cunning. And in those conditions, size wasn't just a benefit, it was survival. But here's the twist. Even as they grew, these squids weren't pulling from a shared memory of a massive ancestor. There was no ancient titan they inherited their form from. Their gigantism came not from legacy, but necessity. Both species, separated by millions of years and oceans, started evolving upward, towards scale, muscle, and myth. Two separate blueprints, same solution, giantism, born twice, not in imitation, but in response. Like evolution itself was echoing through the deep, calling out the same answer to different questions. But these were not identical responses, not even close. Because while both squids grew enormous, how and why they grew could not have been more different. In the grand theater of evolution, not all giants take the same stage nor for the same reasons. The giant squid rose through the phenomenon of deep-sea gigantism, a mysterious rule of nature where creatures dwelling in the pressure-choked, pitch-black depths slowly become supersized. The reasons are still debated: slower metabolisms, scarcity of food, or perhaps survival advantages when there's no solid ground to hide behind. Whatever the cause, the deeper you go, the bigger life becomes. But the colossal squid, it plays by a colder script. Its story is driven by polar gigantism, a rule that says animals in freezing environments tend to grow larger. Why? Because in cold water, larger bodies hold heat better, store more energy, and survive longer periods of starvation. Colossals thrive in the abyss under Antarctica, where pressure meets ice and endurance means everything. And yet, both squids also swim deep, which means the colossal size isn't the result of just one force, but two. Polar and deep-sea gigantism colliding in a perfect storm to sculpt a creature of sheer mass. That's the nuance behind convergent evolution. It doesn't mean two creatures evolve identically, it means they solve the same problem in different ways, but arrive at a similar answer. One favors reach, the other, resistance. One is built for chase, the other for siege. But both are born of an ocean that demands more. More size, more strength, more adaptation. And in doing so, evolution didn't just repeat itself, it layered itself. It adapted twice and came up with two beasts that could never be mistaken for anything else. Two titans shaped by survival, yet sculpted in contrast. The giant squid is a blade, long, lithe, and engineered for speed. It thrives in the mid-depths of temperate oceans, where light fades but motion rules. Prey moves fast here, slipping through the water like whispers. To hunt in such a place, you don't just need strength, you need reach. You need velocity. And the giant squid delivers both. Its tentacles can stretch far beyond its body, lashing forward with the precision of a coiled spring. At full speed, this creature can propel itself at up to 25 miles per hour, not with muscles, but with jet propulsion, sucking in seawater and blasting it out in reverse, like a living torpedo. Now shift the scene. Deeper, colder, slower. The colossal squid doesn't chase. It waits. It lurks. Energy is a precious resource in the Antarctic abyss, and wasting it on missed strikes could mean death. So instead of streamlining, the colossal grew thick, heavy, dense. Its tentacles are shorter, but deadlier, armed with rotating hooks that latch onto prey and don't let go. It doesn't need to pursue. It only needs to endure. And when something comes close, it guarantees a brutal finish. Even its propulsion, though similar in method, is slower. Colossals are estimated to reach just 12 miles per hour, because in its frozen world, speed is luxury. Survivability is law. Two squids, same basic tools, but like warriors trained in opposite schools. One became the assassin, the other, the tank. Both deadly, but only in their domain. If evolution is an artist, then the tentacle is its signature, and in these squids, it paints two masterpieces. The giant squid's arms are long, flexible whips, lined with suction cups rimmed by tiny serrated teeth. These aren't just grips, they're traps. Once they latch onto slippery prey like grenadiers or even smaller squids, escape is nearly impossible. Every inch of their length is made to grab fast, hold tight, and reel the victim toward the killing beat. The colossal squid, by contrast, wields something far more brutal. Its arms end not in suction, but in hooks, some swiveling, some fixed, that dig in like harpoons. They don't just hold, they wound. They tear through armor-plated prey like the Antarctic toothfish, locking in with a vice grip that doesn't let go. Evolution didn't give colossals long reach, but it gave them the power to dominate in close quarters. It's as if the ocean had whispered two different commands to its creatures. To the giant, be quick, strike first. To the colossal, be still, make it count. Even their body shapes reflect their roles. The giant squid is lean, aerodynamic, an arrow shot through darkness. The colossal is a fortress, short, stocky, coiled with muscle. Both are masters of their realm, but where one is built for ambushes in motion, the other is a brawler in the shadows. And that's what makes them so fascinating, not just that they're giant, but that every inch of them is a lesson in evolutionary strategy. In a world where survival is never guaranteed, the deep crafted not one, but two monsters each forged to win in its own way. Deep beneath the crushing weight of the ocean, speed and silence become weapons. Both giant and colossal squids harness the same strange method of movement, jet propulsion. No fins, no flippers, no thrashing tails. Just water pulled in, pressurized, and fired out like a cannon blast. It's elegant, efficient, and deadly. But the way each squid uses this power couldn't be more different. The giant squid, shaped like a torpedo, is designed for pursuit. With streamlined form and lightweight mass, it cuts through the water like a missile. At peak speed, it can rocket forward at 25 miles per hour, an astonishing pace for a creature with no bones and no true skeleton. Its whole body becomes a launch mechanism, every contraction propelling it closer to its fleeing target. Now, picture the colossal. The same jet propulsion, but behind a heavier, more armored body. It's not built for sprinting, it's built for ambush. Topping out around 12 miles per hour, the colossal squid trades speed for brute endurance. It doesn't chase prey across the seafloor. It waits, still as the ice above it, burning almost no energy until something strays too close. Then, in a sudden surge, it explodes forward just long enough to seize the opportunity. Jet propulsion, the great equalizer, gives both squids the power to survive, but it's how they wield it that defines them. In this ocean arms race, speed isn't always victory. Sometimes, it's the quietest engine that wins. Sometimes, it's the one that moves last. Look closely at their arms and you'll see evolution's final signature. The giant squid's tentacles are long, flowing weapons built for reach. Along them run rows of suction cups, each ringed with razor-sharp teeth. These aren't just grips, they're traps, hooks without barbs. A perfect design for grabbing swift, slippery prey and holding on just long enough to strike. But the colossal squid, it carries something far more menacing. Its tentacles end in rotating hooks, some fixed, others swivel like drill bits. These hooks don't just hold, they shred. They tear through thick scales, armor, and bone. When a colossal squid grabs its prey, it's not just a grip, it's a sentence. The difference is more than design. It's philosophy. The giant squid evolved to chase, to outmaneuver, to lash out like a whip in the void. But the colossal is a living trap, a tank in waiting, designed to overpower anything bold enough to wander too close. Even the size of their limbs reflects their strategy. The giant's tentacles can stretch farther, but they're thinner, more vulnerable. The colossals are shorter, stockier, and armored with muscle. In a way, it's like watching two predators from different worlds. One, a fencer, dancing in shadows, striking with precision. The other, a brawler, heavy-handed and unmovable, both effective, both terrifying. And in the darkness of the deep, where survival leaves no room for mercy, it's these arms, these limbs of death that often decide who eats and who disappears. In the deep sea, strategy is everything, and these two titans chose opposite playbooks. The giant squid is built for the thrill of the chase. It prowls temperate oceans where prey dart through shadows like missiles. In this theater, speed wins. Reaction time matters. Its enormous eyes detect movement in near-total darkness, and with a sudden burst of jet propulsion, it lunges forward, long tentacles flaring like spears, snatching prey before they can blink. It's a ghostly assassin, striking from the gloom. But the colossal squid? It plays a different game. Patience, stillness. In the frigid black of the Southern Ocean, energy is a currency more precious than blood. The colossal doesn't burn it unless the payout is certain. It waits, motionless, a muscle-packed monolith hiding in open water. When prey approaches, it strikes with explosive power, using its hooked tentacles to pierce, anchor, and overpower. No chase, no waste, just brutal certainty. One dances, one pounces. Both succeed, but only in the environments that shape them. Evolution didn't just make two monsters. It crafted two philosophies. One thrives by mastering motion, the other by mastering control. And maybe that's the most terrifying truth of all. In a world without light, what wins isn't just strength or speed, but strategy. A slow heart can beat a fast one, if it only beats once, and wins. In the abyss, there's no floor to pin prey against, no reefs to trap them, just open water, dark, endless, and unforgiving. So how do you kill something that floats, flees, and vanishes into black? You evolve the perfect weapon, a mouth that doesn't just bite, it destroys. Both the giant and colossal squid wield a tool unlike anything else in the sea, the beak. Hidden beneath a mass of limbs, it looks almost avian, a curved, jet-black blade made not of bone, but chitin, the same material that forms insect shells. But this beak is denser, sharper, layered for strength. It doesn't chew, it slices, cuts clean through muscle, cartilage, even bone. It's the last thing their prey ever feels. But the brutality doesn't stop there. Behind the beak is the radula, a tongue lined with rows of backward-facing teeth. Once the beak has torn flesh, the radula drags it deeper, grinding the meal into a pulp for digestion. It's a conveyor belt of carnage optimized by millions of years of hunger. These tools aren't flashy. They're not massive claws or glowing lures, but they're lethal. Because down here, efficiency is survival. No wasted energy, no second chances. The squid can't chase a wounded target for miles. It has to finish the job, fast and clean. That's what the beak ensures, a swift, silent end. And perhaps the most haunting part? These beaks are the only pieces that remain after death, indestructible, eternal. While their soft bodies melt into the sea, their mouths endure silent reminders of creatures built to consume, then disappear. But what if against all odds these two leviathans met? A giant squid, sleek and fast, drifting into the frozen abyss of the south. A colossal, slow and armored, rising from the depths of Antarctica. Would they recognize each other as kin or as threats? The truth is, they never will. Their worlds are just close enough to compare, but too far to touch. Giant squids live mostly in the midnight zone, hovering thousands of meters beneath the surface, in oceans that still shift with seasons and light. Colossals, however, rule the abyssal zone, darker, colder, deeper. There is no overlap, not even a border. The environments are so different, it's as if they evolved on separate planets. Even if a giant squid somehow drifted south, it wouldn't find its colossal counterpart. It would likely never reach the right depth before freezing, starving, or simply failing to adapt. And maybe that's for the best, because if they ever did meet, it wouldn't be a reunion, it would be war. Tentacles versus hooks, speed versus mass. Two weapons designed for dominance now colliding in confusion. But that's the silent beauty of evolution. It builds echoes, not encounters. These squids aren't rivals, they're reflection. Separate solutions to the same ancient question. How do you survive when the ocean swallows all light, all warmth, all rules? They were never meant to meet, only to exist apart, alone, perfect in their own shadows. There is one creature, and only one that knows both giants exist. Not because it studies them, but because it hunts them. Enter the sperm whale, the largest toothed predator on Earth, and perhaps the only being alive that can match the size, power, and depth of these squids. With lungs the size of small cars and sonar that maps the void, it dives thousands of feet into darkness, guided not by light, but by sound. Down there, in the realm where colossals drift and giants roam, the whale becomes something more than a hunter. It becomes a reaper. Scar tissue tells the story. Across the heads of many sperm whales are circular imprints, the marks of sucker rings and struggle. Some wounds are from battles with giants, others, deeper and jagged, from the rotating hooks of colossals. These aren't myths, they're history carved into flesh, and when scientists cut open whale stomachs, they find the truth inside. Beaks, dozens, sometimes hundreds, the only indigestible proof of the monsters they've eaten. To the whale, there's no poetry in evolution's symmetry. No marvel in the fact that two different oceans crafted two different giants. There is only hunger. It doesn't care whether it swallows 500 pounds of sleek muscle or 1,300 pounds of armored meat. It wants the mass, the fight, the reward. And so, the very thing that made these squids extraordinary, their convergence, their colossal size, may also be their curse. Because when evolution builds two monsters, the deep sea sends in a bigger one to feed. So what would it take for the deep to give birth to a third monster? Another squid so massive, so perfectly adapted, that it joins the ranks of the giant and the colossal. The answer lies not in imagination, but in pattern. Nature has already shown us the formula: darkness, pressure, scarcity, and time. Environments where light dies and energy must be hoarded like gold. Where every mistake is punished by silence, and every advantage, even size, is earned through millennia. And in these zones, we're already seeing early contenders. The Dana octopus squid, short, but shockingly dense. The robust clubhook squid reaching lengths of 13 feet, with the muscle to match. They aren't monsters yet, but they're on the path. Evolution isn't quick. It doesn't rush, but it builds, slowly, with purpose. And somewhere, in the black between tectonic trenches and polar shelves, a creature may already be growing larger, stranger, shaped by the same rules that sculpted its legendary cousins. We might name it the immense squid, or the Leviathan squid, or maybe it already has a name, one whispered in the clicks of a diving whale, or carved into the scar of a survivor. But whatever it's called, we know this: If the ocean has room for two monsters, it surely has room for three. Evolution repeats when it works, and in the deep, where life is forged in pressure and time, nothing works better than a nightmare with arms.